And we're live. I'm going to give it a minute or two and let some people get in. Welcome, welcome. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Once again, I don't really have a topic to speak on tonight. Just figured I'd get on, see what everybody's up to. Been a long ass week. Weekend's finally here, so dropped a new video earlier called It's a Dirty Game. And this is a story about some people I knew when I was growing up in San Bernardino, a family that of brothers who were pretty much on top of the world, and then it all came crashing down. So be sure to check that one out. I dropped it at kind of a weird time, Saturday evening. Usually I try to drop them first thing in the morning, but like I said, it was a hectic week at work. Got a new supervisor, and just trying to adjust to that. It's stressful. So hope everybody had a good week and is enjoying their weekend so far. Make sure you hit that like button while you're in here. Really helps the algorithm of the of the live to get it out. So yeah. Also, if you're new in here, subscribe to the channel. It really helps. We just passed 1,200 subs not too long ago, and channel is growing. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to Ramona, the super moderator, as well as Cora and Q, who also moderate as well. You guys are greatly appreciated. And they also happen to be my family, so shout out to them. What's up, Joel Dominguez? Right now, I'm smoking Senecas. They didn't have my normal brand the other morning when I was on the way home, so I had to go there. Usually I smoke Montegos, though. Hope you're doing well tonight. So, yeah, I dropped a story earlier. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. It's called It's a Dirty Game. And appreciate you, Joe. Thank you for the nice comment. Yeah, I dropped a story. It's called It's a Dirty Game. And it's about three brothers that I knew in my late teens when I first got into the game, if you will. And, they pretty much had it going on, but what comes up must go down. And yeah, check out the story. You'll see exactly what I mean. They went from all the nice cars and everything to bottoming out pretty much, in their own separate ways. And also jealousy and envy that occurs when, you're in the dope game, basically. No, everybody wants to be the man. There's plenty to go around for everybody, but people don't see it that way. Everybody wants to be the man, whether you're family or not. Like, it's cutthroat. And yeah, that's what happened in that story. So be sure to check that one out. And what's up, John? John, appreciate you tapping in. So yeah, I dropped that story earlier, and yeah, I think it's a good one. It's a little bit longer than the ones I usually do, but definitely a good message here. It's cool. Yeah, exactly, John. John, he says it's cool that move units until your partners rob you and take your place. Yeah, or they make a phone call and drop a dime. Like, it's a dirty ass game. Rather than build each other up, everybody wants to break each other down and take what the next man's got. But I mean, in that industry, there's plenty to go around, if you ask me. But people don't always see it that way. And what's up? I'm back, H20. I got a couple already. Appreciate it, though. Yeah, exactly, John. John, like, there is, that's the whole thing. Like, when I was younger, before I got into the game, like, I used to see someone in a Mercedes or a BMW or something of the sort, and I used to think, man, fuck that fool. But there's so much money out there to be had. It's just a matter of getting it the right way. Um, I mean, if you're hustling, you can definitely make money. I don't know. I haven't been hustling in quite a while. I pretty much got out of the game around 2004 when they sent me to prison. And, it, like, I just got tired of being locked up. Like, I was getting locked up every time you turn around. And, my kids were basically growing up while I was incarcerated. So, I finally made a decision that it was time to get right. But yeah, that story I dropped earlier, it's the weekend, so I don't expect it to get a ton of views right now. Like, it'll probably pick up on Monday, I would imagine. But it's a scandalous story, pretty much, about three brothers. And everybody was doing good, but good wasn't good enough for them. Everybody wanted what the next one had, and eventually, you know, I agree, John. John, he says the universe sits us down every now and then to get our mind right. Yeah, exactly. Where's everybody checking in from tonight? Joel says, yeah, the D game shady. I got out when I got out of the feds as well. That shit sucks. I'm find out working 9 to 5. I enjoy that shit now. Didn't when I was younger. Yeah, I agree. I used to think the 9 to 5 thing was for suckers, you know, but it's nice knowing that when I leave the house, I'm gonna make it back to the house tonight. Like for the longest time, I didn't know that. So now, I mean, barring some tragic accident or something, when I leave, I'm coming back. There's no real fear that, um, if a cop gets behind me, that's the end of it. Mad Monk says, when you were locked up, did you see guys who got out and came right back in on purpose? There were some instances of that. Without getting too much into the politics, you know, uh, you would be on the streets and you would basically bring something in, and you would pack something up there basically, and then get arrested and bring something in for the bigger homies. Yeah, and hopes of gaining points, I guess. I never really did that, although I couldn't stay on the streets. Like, I would say between like 90, oh, the roughest stretch was from like 98 to '06, and like it would be lucky if I stayed out for 3 months. you know like I would get out. It got to the point where I was on probation in 3 different counties, and I just couldn't keep up with checking in with all these probation officers, so I would hit the gate running. And I always had this saying, let them spend their gas to come and get me. I'm not going to spend mine to turn myself in. But you know that was just the mindset that I was in at that time. And honestly, there were some times where they put those cuffs on and I felt relief. Like, well, now I can go get some rest for a couple of days and then get up and program and you know take care of business. Yeah. And honestly, half the time when those guys get caught on purpose and bring stuff in, they think they're making points, but they're really not. They're just a truck, basically. That's the way they're a crash dummy kind of thing. And they think they're making points, but they're not. I mean, maybe in the moment, but I don't know. Like I said, I never really got involved in that aspect of things. So where's everybody checking in from tonight? Make sure you smash that like button while you're in here. Really helps to get the live out. I appreciate everybody tapping in. Florida's in the house. That's right. Shout out to Florida. I hear your Department of Corrections out there is pretty wild. I've only done time in Cali. A lot of people think ours is wild, but it's what I'm used to. Like, it's been so long since I've been in there, though. If I were to go back, I wouldn't even know what to do. I mean, I'd like to think I would, but I think that's another video I'm going to be working on. What would I do if I were to get arrested again? What would I do? Would I jump into the politics, or would I just kind of stay in the shadows the best I could? I don't know. I guess it depends on what the charge is. If I'm if I'm just passing through, then yeah, I think I would do my best to stay in the shadows. If I had something long coming up, as far as how much time I'd be looking at, then I'd probably jump back into it. But to be honest with you, prison's a young man's game, and I'm not a very young man anymore. Like I'm already in my 50s. So, like I said, it's been a long time since I've been in there, and I'd have to get totally reacquainted with how it even works. I know the basics, though, obviously, having done time, respect and staying in your lane and, all that type of stuff. What's up, Travel Not Frank? So yeah, smash that like button while you guys are in here, and if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. Check out my playlist. Travel Not Frank's from Kenya. Shout out to Kenya. Definitely check out my playlist. I have over 200 videos up. I'm sure you'll find something in there. Like the general idea of the channel is about sobriety and getting off drugs. I was addicted to meth for a long time, and if I could do it, you can do it too. Mad Monk says, did you see the documentary on the Black Dolphin, the fierce Russian prison? No, I haven't seen that one. Travel. Now Frank says, like, subscribe, done. I will visit your playlist later. Appreciate that. Definitely. Shout out to you. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I don't plan on going back, but you never know. Catstopia says, is it true that if you join a gang, they might order you to stash things in? On that one, you don't even necessarily need to join the gang. Like, if you're on the higher levels, you're going to contribute one way or another, whether it's holding onto the sack, weapons, like you're going to put in work. On a level 4, you're going to stab somebody. It might not be right away, but at some point you are. And if the best contribution you can make is stuffing a sack of drugs up your butt, for lack of a better term, then that's what you're going to be doing. So, Mad Monk says, do you know anything about Central and South American prison conditions? I hear they're really bad, really overcrowded. California had a thing in recent years where they had to reduce population because they said we were overcrowded. But I hear it's really overcrowded down there, John says, you'd rather do your bid in the box here. Okay. Yeah. You said Florida, right? So is that just to stay away from the politics? Just to because honestly, like, there's been times where, like, I've been put into, like, the whole basically ADSEG in prison, and like I never had an issue with being locked up, like single man cell type of thing. Like, that didn't bother me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because youngsters are wilding. Yeah. It tends to be that way here too. But with the politics of California prisons, everything, like, you're not just going to go do what you want to do. And especially, if it involves another race or organization, because your actions could completely set off a yard. And then now all of the people in your organization and all the people in that organization are going to go to war. And, if you do something that starts that and it's not justified, then you're going to have an issue coming too. So, yeah, that's California politics, though. Yeah, so guys, be sure to check out that video. It's called It's a Dirty Game. Oh, okay. I get that a lot, Ambassador. Yeah, I am not though. I'm just a regular family guy these days. Jenkins says stay hydrated, everyone. Yeah, I agree. It's starting to warm up outside. That's a great idea. Yeah, I usually drink a ton of water. I'm drinking some Crystal Light right now. I've been hitting the gym kind of hard, trying to get my weight down a little bit. So it's a struggle. John says K2 is real bad here. They love smoking K2. Yeah, I've seen some things on that, and man, that looks like a scary drug right there. I've never experienced that. Like my only experience has been with crystal, with marijuana, and I tried coke once, but didn't much care for it. It wasn't what I was looking for, I guess you would say. Ambassador says 1 gram per day. I'm sober 10 years. I smoked crystal meth for 2 years. Congrats on that, bro. That is awesome. Like that's such a hard one to kick. And yeah, congrats on that, man. That's an awesome achievement. Keep that up, man. Like the hardest part is over. It's just maintaining at this point, you know. Early on it was difficult at times, but I think once you make up your mind, you're gonna do what you want to do, you know. John says blows like weed here. Wow. Yeah. It's all over the place, I guess, huh? Uh-huh. Yeah, I smoked it. I snorted it. I never did it with the needle. But you know, an addict is an addict, you know. What's up, yo there? Yeah. I remember back in those days when I was using, people would always try to justify their habit by saying, well, at least I'm not doing it this way. You know, at least I just do lines. I don't use a needle. And like everybody would like turn up their nose at the next bunch about how bad their addiction was in comparison to yours. But I mean, keeping it real, addiction is addiction. And, you know, it don't matter how you do it. Ambassador says, my homie passed away a few months ago in Oroville, California, doing H. Sorry to hear that, bro. Yeah, it's such an epidemic right now between the H and the fentanyl. You know, like people are losing a lot of people over this stuff, you know, and like it's a terrible thing. I agree, John. He says, whether you sold it or used it, we all were junkies, either the money or the feels. Yep, absolutely. And I kind of understood both aspects of that because it started off all business and eventually it turned into a party. And Yo there says, I wrote a song about addiction. It's called In the Blink of an Eye. That's a good title for that, you know? because it's true. You know, in the blink of an eye, you go from a normal person to an addict. And you know, the first time I smoked meth, like I was hooked. Like it was crazy. I went from being a non-user to an addict in pretty much the blink of an eye. And the funny thing is, it scared the hell out of me when I did it. But when I started coming down, like I knew I needed more, you know? Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Ambassador. It's real tough losing somebody to addiction, you know? Have you tried the coconut flavor mint? No, they didn't have that when I was out there using coconut flavor, huh? Well, that's different. I remember one time we got a load in and it smelled real bad like diesel fuel. They were bringing it up. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been clean for coming up on 20 now. So, but yeah, there was some stuff. It smelled like diesel fuel real bad. They were bringing it up from Mexico in the tanks of the big rigs. And like it was real hard to get past that aroma, you know, but it was quality. So I got past it. and as embarrassing as that sounds, you know, like it did what it was supposed to do, you know. So uh Scream Skull says, "Are you a convict?" Yes. I did one prison term and I did a bunch of time in the county jails. Uh Probably did about somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 years locked up overall. But turned that all around, you know. So Ambassador says coconut flavor had the blue color when lighted. Oh, okay. Yeah, I never ran across that. Scammer Skull says, so you're clean now? Yeah, I will be. I will have 20 years of sobriety on August the 9th of, you know, all the hard stuff. Yeah, I do, yo there. Yeah, Ambassador. That's what I hear. I've heard a lot of people say that 30, $40 for a ball. Like that just blows my damn mind that the stuff has gotten that cheap. The market's so saturated though, you know, that I mean, I don't know. Back in my days, if one of the big plugs got busted, like there'd be times where you couldn't even find it. And if you did find it, it was really expensive. Now it seems like every other week there's a story in the news about somebody that got popped with 20 pounds and it's not drying up. Like it's a definitely a different time for sure. Yeah. Yeah, there that's yeah, right? So, yeah, that's just crazy how cheap it's gotten. So, yeah, I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Uh-huh. When I was dealing, it was 180 for an 8 ball. Like you couldn't get a 16th for $40 back then. Maybe a half a 16th. You know, but Israel Garcia says Coke is cheap. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's about where it was when I was dealing, Ambassador. Like $100 I'd sell them for, and like $50 for a half, you know. But yeah, it's so dirt cheap now, like it's crazy. That's why there's so much mental health issues, I think, in society, because yeah, that's good, yo. There, congrats on that. Yeah, ambassador. Yeah, like I had a dealer's habit. I was doing quarter a day, probably between what I was chopping up and what I was dropping in a pipe. Like it was crazy. But I mean, I had it on deck. I had big sacks, so like it wasn't nothing to dip into that. I mean, it didn't obviously didn't start off there, but by the time I was getting ready to go to prison, yeah, my habit had really excelled. So, and honestly, I think a lot of times I agree, I agree. I'm very lucky. Like I've had so many instances in my life where I shouldn't have made it out. And hey, Lyra girls, what's up? Appreciate you checking in. Yeah, what's up, Ellie? Appreciate you watching, babe. Yeah, I mean, most of the time, honestly, when I would get locked up, like it was my chance to regain my health because I was doing so much of it that, like, I left to myself, like, I'd be dead by now, Like, honestly, the incarcerations are what saved me, you know? Yo, there says, reason why you're still here. I believe the reason that I'm still here is because my work ain't done, you know? Uh, I want to assist others in finding sobriety like I did. And that's one of the main reasons I started this channel was to, when I was using, I just needed somebody to say, hey, look, I did it and you can do it too. So that's what I'm here to say, I did it. I got clean after 20 years of abuse. I got clean. So if I could do it, I never thought I'd get clean. I was supposed to die an addict, and I didn't. So that means there's hope for everybody else as well. And that's a big part of this channel. So like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and check out my playlist, because some of the adventures I went on are crazy and it's amazing I made it out. But like I said, if I could do it, then you could do it too. So, and make sure you hit that like button while you're in here, guys, if you would. Yeah, actually, I went to school to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and my plan was to go work in the California Department of Corrections and be a drug and alcohol counselor on a substance abuse yard. And yeah, I am too, Ambassador. It's funny you mentioned that, and that really helped me in maintaining my sobriety, because before I started driving trucks, like I would drink and drive and stuff, and you know, by no means am I condoning that type of behavior, because so many people die every year from drunk drivers. But uh, once I got that CDL, they said if you have a blood alcohol content of, it's half. I think it was 0.04 in California. even in your personal car because you're a CDL holder. So I don't drink and drive anymore. Like I don't really even drink anymore, to be perfectly honest, but every once in a while. But as far as the hard stuff goes, I went from being on parole and having to test for a parole officer to having to test for the Department of Transportation when they hit me with a random or when I renew my medical card or stuff like that. So that was a real good path that I went down early in sobriety to maintain staying straight, And I appreciate that comment, yo, there. I'm doing the best I can here, and I'm just trying to spread the word out there that if I could do it, you could do it. It you just got to be ready, basically, to have that life change, and it's a complete life change. Like a lot of the people that I hung out with, I had to cut them loose because if I'm hanging around people that are using, eventually I'm going to use too. So, that was kind of, I don't know if I want to say that was tough, but you know, it was just different, like it was different. Ambassador says I did 5 years level 4. Yeah, you were playing with the big boys there, huh? Yeah, those level 4s definitely hit different. I never seen a level 4. I made it to a level 3, and then I went to ADSEG for. We jumped on somebody that had some funny charges. Apparently, he liked little kids, and as you know, we don't. We're not going to live with people like that, right? So, yeah, I went to ADSEG. My time was just about up, though. They gave me a 14-month shoe, but I paroled before I hit the shoe, so I was fortunate there. But I was definitely on my way there. So basically, I maxed out my sentence, and they just didn't have nothing to keep me on anymore. There were no outside charges on the battery on an inmate. There was no weapon involved or anything because we were on lockdown, and me and my cellie just happened to be out of the cell, and they popped the door, and here this guy comes in. So, we took care of business, and yeah, that's how that ended. So, I seen all the lower levels though. I started in a CCF, and then they bumped me to a level 2 after a riot, and they bumped me to a level 3 after another riot, and like yeah, I never planted any roots, I guess you would say, and stayed anywhere on a prison yard. I was bouncing all over the place. But yeah, don't miss those days at all. I mean, you make the best of it while you're in there, obviously. But yeah, that was I'm obviously a lot much better off now. So, life out here ain't always great. It's a struggle, but it's a million times better than being in there behind the wall. So I'm glad you made it back, Ambassador. A lot of people don't. So yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button while you're in here and subscribe to the channel. Check out my playlist. Yeah, I work nights, so my sleeping patterns are weird, but like I typically get off work at 3 a.m. and I drive an hour home as long as there ain't no traffic. So yeah, I got some weird sleeping patterns. Well, I mean, it's normal to me, but it'd be weird to others, I guess. So, yeah, if you guys are just tapping in, make sure you check out that video I dropped earlier. It's called "It's a Dirty Game." It's about three brothers I knew when I was a lot younger that were in the game, and just how dirty the game gets, you know? Uh, yeah, yeah, that commute's kind of a killer, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, check out that story. It's a dirty game. It's about three brothers I knew, and uh, like just the jealousy and the envy and the way people turn on one another when they're in the game. Like it's crazy. You know, you think you've got it all figured out and you're making all this money and stuff. Timothy Blunt says, I did 35 years, 27 on a level 4. I know what you mean, brother. Shout out to you, bro. Uh, it sounds like you made it out, so that's an awesome thing. Like that, man, that is a long time to be living with a bunch of killers, bro. But you made it out. Obviously, a strong individual. So shout out to you. I never, like I said, I never seen the level 4. Uh, had I had more time, I'm sure I would have made it there. Like, you know, I went from the lowest to custody. Like I just kept getting into shit, you know. And you know, the thing is, that's prison, though. You know, if you know, you're trying to get your name out there and stuff, man, you're gonna get tapped on the shoulder a lot to put in work, or you know, it's just it's not a good place to be, you know. But once you're into that environment, like you do what you got to do to survive, you know. And if you know, if everybody else is carrying a knife, then guess what? You're going to be carrying one too, because I'd rather be caught with it than without it when I need it, you know? So, yeah, shout out to you, Timothy. Appreciate you tapping in. But like I said, this channel is based on sobriety and getting off the drugs. Like I did drugs for a long time, and I was very fortunate to only do the amount of time that I did. Like I said, I did altogether with county time about 8 years. And, you know, it, I never thought I'd get clean, being honest, you know, but I did it. And you guys can too. If, you know, you're struggling with addiction, uh, check in your local area, try to find a meeting or something, you know? That's right. Timothy Blunt says, thanks, man. I got out in 2015. What a different world. Yeah, I would imagine, bro. Like after my 2 years, which was the longest stretch I did in prison, coming out, like it was a lot of things were different. 2 years compared to 20, 35, was it? Like that's wild. I can't imagine it. Like such a different world from what it was like when you went in, you know? So salute to you, bro. Be strong. It's gonna definitely be a learning curve getting out. I remember when I first got out, I went over to Valley College in San Bernardino to sign up for some classes. And, you know, like I was in and out a lot over like the previous 7 or 8 years. And I walked up on the campus at Valley College first time, and I asked this youngster, I said, hey, do you know where I think it was the administrative building was? And this youngster, we just happened to be standing in front of it, but I don't know. And this youngster says, you're standing in front of it, duh, as he's looking up at the building. And my fist immediately clenched up. I was going to bomb on this fool. Like, how dare you speak that way to me? Like, don't you know who I am? I ain't nobody, but, you know, the level of respect from being incarcerated on any level to the level of respect on the streets is like a whole different world. And a lot of people that are on the streets have never been punched in the mouth, and it shows, you know? So, I mean, you talk to somebody that way in prison, not just on the level 4, on any level, chances are that you're going to get assaulted. and probably kick off a riot, you know? So, and then once the riot's over, then your own people are going to assault you again because, that's the world of in there. So, but I'm really glad to hear you're doing well, Timothy. I mean, you've been out for what, 9 years already? That's great. Never going back, bro. Dead Throw says, what state you at? I'm in Cali, Southern California. I did all my time in California as well. I did county time in Los Angeles, Riverside, San Bernardino. Hey, what's up, Judge Dredd? How are you tonight? Yeah, did all my time in Cali. What the hell? That's good. The channel overall, it's war stories of where addiction took me and sobriety, getting sober and making a change in your life. So yeah, that's what it's about. You can check out my playlist. I have about 230 videos up now, and you can get a little bit of anything there, Yeah, I would imagine, Timothy, whole different respect level for sure, And I would only imagine with the amount of time that you did, geez, you probably wanted to stab a few people, bro, I would imagine. I mean, with all due respect. Pin Stab says, do Cali prisons have a certain reputation for treatment of inmates? I would say, real quick, to answer your question, Judge Dredd, meth. As far as a certain reputation of treatment of inmates, I would say the county jail, the guards are, they consider that their house in the county jail. When you get to prison, it's our house. The only thing that the guards control is the locks, basically. I mean, they can lock you down and do all that stuff, of course, but we can stab them. And that's kind of a blunt statement, but like you're not going to follow the administration's rules. You're going to follow your organization's rules. The car that you roll with, your people, because if it comes down to the decision of following a CO's rule or your people's rule, what can the CO really do to you? Now, your people can have you removed from the earth, pretty much, So, uh, as far as that reputation of treatment of inmates, now what Cali did was they had the Pelican Bay SHU and the Corcoran SHU, and those are secure housing units where they sent alleged gang leaders up there for decades. And, that's like a 23-in-1 lockdown type of situation. Like you're pretty much stuck in the cell all the time. Very little communication with the outside world. And that they consider that to be cruel and unusual punishment. And that doesn't happen anymore as far as indeterminate SHU sentences or, being solitary confinement. So, Judge Dredd said, "What's the longest someone spent in the SHU?" I think they opened up Pelican Bay in like 1989. And okay, you have the big four organizations in California. I'm not going to get into who they are. You can Google that. Some things are just better left unsaid. You know what I mean? But uh, some of the leaders of those groups finally got out in like 2014, 2015. And some of the guys that were in there in the 80s, some of those guys that were in there in the 80s that were leaders of these organizations and that got validated had been in there. There were people in there for 30 years, you know, 89, 30, 35. Because 2014, they finally started letting those guys out. So, yeah, some of the super OGs were in there forever, you know. Now, you could also get a what was known as a determinant shoe, and that's uh, say I go out to yard and I get tapped on the shoulder, hey, go stab this guy. So I go do it, right? Then I could get a shoe ruling on me to where, okay, you got 2 years in the shoe or whatever it may be, you know. But yeah, so not everybody that went back there got stuck back there, but a lot of people did. So at one time, that was a good way to further your career in as a criminal was to get to these places so you get close to the people that were the movers and shakers, if you will. Pinstab says, "What brought you to sobriety?" Uh, I got tired, to be honest with you. Uh, I'd been an addict for a long time, and I was missing so many events in the family with, my children and my wife, and I finally came to the realization that it was time to make a change. So uh, luckily, wifey stood by me through all of this. So like I had a good support group, but yeah, that's kind of question. People, death row, CDC, realist, walking line, level 4. Yeah, death row, San Quentin wasn't no joke. Cherries, you're funny. Actually, I hear nowadays they're trying to close down death row, and yeah, peace to you as well, Cherry. They're closing it down, and they're trying to. They just moved like 30 of those death row inmates down to Chino, which seems weird because they had made it into like a minimum security. It's like ones and twos. Level 1 and level 2 being the lowest, the lower levels of security housing. Like a level 1, like there's like a 6-foot gate around the perimeter, basically. Wouldn't be that hard to get out, but most of the people that are on a level 1 have like a year or so to go, so it wouldn't really make sense to do that. But I mean, now at one time, Chino housed some of the worst of the worst, with Sycamore Hall, Palm Hall. Like there were some real heavy hitters back there. Cherry says, "Do you think they should ban the death penalty?" They already did in California. My opinion is, as far as that goes, is like it's got to be slam dunk for a to condemn somebody basically to death row. Like, not a bunch of hearsay and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree, Mad Monk. Like, not only the selfish role, but no accountability. Nothing's ever our fault, right? It's always it's not my fault that I'm sticking this needle in my arm. you know, it's because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I would agree with that, Cherry. Like I said, the thing is, like it's got to be, you know, I don't have nothing against the death penalty, but I think it's got to be a slam dunk. Like maybe something on videotape, or you got the DNA or something like that. Like, because there's too many people that will, you know, they don't like somebody, so they'll witness something just because they want to get rid of somebody. You know, like if it's undisputable, then absolutely. You know, for certain crimes. I mean, people that mess with little kids would be the first ones on my list. No death row in Mexico, huh? Huh. Yeah, no, that's interesting. But yeah, like certain crimes, definitely, I would agree. Looks like we're coming up on an hour. I think I'm gonna shut it down here shortly, guys. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. Check out my playlist. And Pin Stab says, I worry about who gets to decide exactly what determines a slam dunk. And there's been some DNA cases that have ended up being incorrectly handled. Yeah, I agree. And to be honest with you, the way the court system is anymore, it's supposed to be blind justice, right? But is it really? You know? Yeah, and you're right about that as well, Matt Monk. You know, like there with technology, like I don't know what to think, you know, like because yeah, you know, I mean, like they can make a video of you saying something that you never said just because there's tape out there on you, you know? So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here shortly, guys. I appreciate everybody tapping in. I'll try to get back on again tomorrow night for another live. If you're new here, subscribe, check out my playlist, and I appreciate you as well, Pin Stab. You dropped some really good comments tonight. I thank you for that. So yeah, hit the like button on the way out if you guys would. Also subscribe to the channel and check out my playlist. You know, like you can see some of the places that addiction took me, and hopefully it can help somebody to not have to go down the same path that I did because it was rough. You know, but you know, I wish everybody a great night, and you know, don't look at the mountain, guys. Just start climbing. You can do it. Have a good night, guys.